We're joined from Jerusalem right now by Gershon Baskin. Gershon, a former hostage negotiator for Israel. So, as Kelly says, Netanyahu's been clear on this going into Rafah, whether there's a hostage deal in place or not. But what would you say your level of confidence is today as we speak about some sort of a deal getting done this time around?
Well, as Secretary Blinken said, we're waiting for an answer from Hamas. The answer is expected to come tomorrow night. Initial news coming out of Gaza is that they have reservations about the deal because it does not include the commitment of Israel to end the war and withdraw from Gaza. This has been a sticking point all along these negotiations. I don't know if it's a generous offer on the table or not. There were Israeli concessions that were not there previously, mainly from what we know, Israel's agreement to allow displaced Palestinians in Gaza to move from the south of the Gaza Strip to the north of the Gaza Strip. And we do have this threat from Netanyahu to wage the military incursion into Rafah, into 20% of the Gaza Strip, where there are 1.5 million Palestinians. We don't know if this threat is real or it's part of the negotiations. I assume that it is real because no threat has any power of working if it isn't real. The Israelis are preparing for the incursion.
I'm curious, and I want to dig in a little bit deeper about whether, your comments saying you don't know if it's a generous offer or not from Israel. But first, let's listen to Secretary Blinken today. He's in Israel, he's been in the region, and today just talked about what he's trying to get done over there. And this is how he put it.
Our focus right now is on getting a ceasefire and hostages home. That is the most urgent thing. And it's also, I think, what is achievable because the Israelis have put a strong proposal on the table. They've demonstrated that they're willing to compromise, and now it's on Hamas. And no more delays, no more excuses. The time to act is now.
So there he called it a strong proposal. Previously, he did say it was a, quote, generous offer, but you're not so sure?
Well, look, they're talking about bringing home about 30 of the hostages of the 133 hostages that are in Gaza. Secretary Blinken talked about a ceasefire. Why don't we talk about bringing home 133 of the hostages, those alive and those dead, and an end to the war? That seems to me to be more in the interest of everyone here in the region and in the world. This war is almost 7 months old. It has brought about too much death and destruction. We need to end the war, and there needs to be a political solution for dealing with the future of Gaza, not a military solution.
So you think Hamas would go for that then, Gershon, if that was on the table? In other words, if Israel said we're done with the war, they would go for that. Although many have pointed out, including yourself, that the odds are that many of those hostages, and you did make this point, are just not alive at this point.
That's right, but I think if President Biden was really serious about ending the war, he would notify the Israelis that they're not going to get any more bombs from the United States to drop on Gaza. And then the Israelis would have to calculate how much ammunition they need to stockpile in case war breaks out in Lebanon or with Iran or other regional needs. At least in terms of fueling the war in Gaza, the United States could put a quick end to the war. We would have an end to the war, and we could negotiate.
It's not going to happen, is it? I mean, there's no sign Biden's going to do that. Don't you think? I mean, don't you think that he won't move that far? He may be not thrilled with Netanyahu, but it doesn't seem like he's going to cut them off.
I don't know. There are other nations that have notified Israel that they're cutting back on the shipment of weapons to Israel, the UK, France, and others. Germany is talking about it as well, and that's quite amazing. I think that if the interest of the United States and the world, in fact, is to see an end to this war, then let's put that on the table. We need to get the hostages home. There is no Israeli victory in this war if the hostages don't come home. This Netanyahu needs himself for his own political lifeline, but Netanyahu seems to want to continue the war because once it's over, we will have our National Commission of Inquiry to find out who's responsible for what happened on October 7th, other than Hamas, of course, who's directly responsible, but the failures of the Israeli government and the Israeli army to protect its people will be investigated. And there is a mounting call within Israeli society for elections to be held this year.
Talks to the political, or speaks to the political incentives in all of this domestically for Netanyahu. Gershon Baskin, as always, thank you. Live from Jerusalem. We're going to talk more about the hostage